Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian Wynne.
Thanks for doing this.
Oh, you're welcome.
Usually
awesome.
You're dealing with urban air mobility or something like that, but you and I worked together a lot in Washington before you got your latest gig, and I didn't know that you are completely comfortable out here on this stage. Tell the audience a little bit about how you've been on the stage before.
Yeah, well, I test as an introvert, so any Myers-Briggs folks who are an I, I'm an I.
Me too, by the way, oddly.
I'm an INTJ. And I grew up, I was classically trained vocalist and classically trained pianist. A lot of my education leading up to college was music. And I've done musicals, I've done operas. Hopefully no one finds the videos. And I'm really excited to be here. I haven't been on a stage in a few years, and it's cool kind of being on the stage to do this.
Great. Well, thanks for doing it. We really appreciate it.
Thank you,
Great
Brian.
to have you.
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for
luck.
doing this. Fantastic. Welcome to XPONENTIAL in the Windy City. How's everybody doing? Everybody wear your Fitbits this morning? I was just checking my heartbeat coming out here, but yesterday I think we sent a record going back and forth just to the venue over here. I remembered McCormick being a big place, but I remembered this being the big place. I forgot that now we got to cross a highway to get back and forth. So glad everybody is here. I want to say that we're picking up exactly where we left off last year in Denver. Two things. First off, we got a little loose toward the end there. That was my fault. For those of you who made the Thursday, you don't want to miss Thursday. You never know what's going to happen. I'm a big blues fan, so Michael and I got a little bit carried away. Second thing is we've really made a tremendous amount of progress over the course of the last year. I'm sure you all agree. And so I think it's very appropriate that we start here on Tuesday with a theme, the power of progress. I want to basically ask, before I get started with my remarks, I want to ask for one more round of applause for Travis Mason. He's going to do a great job for us. We try and do everything from the members up, basically, at AUVSI. All of our positions, everything that we do. So it's very appropriate that we have a member up here on stage hosting you, the members. This is your show. No, literally, this is your show. The members of AUVSI own this show. Last year, we had Sarah Blackmer up here. I think Sarah had no idea what she was getting herself into, but she did a fantastic job. Please stand up and take a bow, Sarah. Everybody remember Sarah? Absolute naturals. So the thing that I want to talk about today is how we've expanded our activities and certainly the membership. I mean, there's a tremendous range of things that are going on at AUVSI, some of which we've really started to extend over the course of the last year. We've got a new initiative. It's not actually that new anymore on maritime, and that has been really fast out of the blocks. I think we're kind of gaining speed with the maritime initiative, and pretty soon that's going to be moving almost just as fast, I think, as what we're doing on the air side of things, which of course is mammoth at this stage in the game. You're going to be hearing more about ground, particularly at this show. We've got, ground is a differentiated segment and a differentiated domain. We've got ground robots, we've got automated vehicles, et cetera. Some of the ground robots will come out of the automated vehicles at some point. So it's all fitting together. And then we've also been doing a lot in the mitigation area, Uas Mitigation. You're going to hear more about that as we go forward today and so forth. So it's, there's an increasing range of activities, and that's reflected in our membership as well. One of the things that we did was that's been reflected on our board of directors this year. We change over our board of directors on Thursday. There'll be a change of command, as we call it. I like to call it the peaceful transition of power. And we do that on Thursday. This year, the nominating committee very deliberately went out and found 2 people from the maritime community and 2 people from the ground community. Not that we didn't have those segments represented, but we're trying to get a better balance of all of the different domains. And that's extremely important. The board has the job of working with the staff, with me, to kind of look out over the horizon, think about what comes after, what comes next, and make sure that we're basically getting ready for that. And the way we've been doing that over the course of the last year is by asking you, the stakeholders of AUVSI, not just the members, but non-members, previous members, users of the technology, et cetera, through a very data-driven process, we've been trying to gather more information about what's going on and what your needs are. And nominally, we've been calling this a strategic planning process. That strategic plan isn't quite written yet. But what I think about it is the objective is really to try and figure out how do we make the activities of AUVSI in greater alignment, create those activities in greater alignment with your business needs. And a couple of very interesting things have come out of that process. I want to take a little bit of your time this morning to talk about that and tell you what we know now. And our cheerleader, our guidance counselor, our consultant in this process, Dan Veroni, who might be with us this morning, I'm not sure if Dan's still here, basically says there's things that we think, and then there's things that we know. Based on what you've told us, and we've been paying close attention, here's what we know. First off, we're very optimistic. The percentages of those of you who are optimistic about our ability to grow this technology and make it a mainstream in the marketplace, 95%. 95% of you said you think this technology is going to grow. 60% of you said it's going to grow a lot. All right, maybe that's not so surprising. You know, this is a group of doers, and we tend to be optimistic. But when you think about all of the industries that are being disrupted right now and being turned upside down, I think I personally feel really good about being part of a community that's very optimistic about our prospects in the future. 93% of you said that you expect to be more successful, so you're very optimistic about your business models as well, and I think that's extremely important. One of the very interesting things for me was that more and more of you are working across domains. That's probably because more and more of you are creating and enabling technologies that can be used in more than one application and certainly more than one domain. Similarly, there was complete agreement that in order to be successful with unmanned systems, moving up this continuum of automation, we need to work together across those domains. That's extremely important because if you think about it, the ground domain, the air domain, the maritime domain all have different regulatory environments. They all have different histories of how they regulate their vehicles. And ultimately, we want to make sure that we're learning what we learn from one domain can be carried over to another domain. And there was strong agreement that we need to do that. So for me, I think we're on to something when we say our tagline, our motto at AUVSI is all things unmanned. And I'm personally very, very excited about that. The third thing that I wanted to highlight that I think is extremely important is that across these domains, because we kind of are able to, with the analytics, look at what people think in different domains, there was complete agreement. The number one issue that we all agree we need to work on is public acceptance. Without public acceptance, of course, legislators are not going to support us. Regulators are not going to change the regulatory environment. We're not going to get permission to put our vehicles on the road, in the water, in the air. So this is extremely important that we work together on public acceptance. The good news for me is that we've got a fantastic story to tell. You're going to hear some of that story from the keynote stage and other venues around XPONENTIAL. Today you're going to hear from an executive from the utility industry. Somebody here is here from Florida Power and Light. They're going to talk about how they're using the technology to basically increase the value to their business model. Tomorrow you're going to hear from an executive from State Farm who's going to talk about how they're using it in the insurance industry. So this is good news. I think we can take that, we can demonstrate, as AUVSI has for many years, that there's a lot of value that's going to be created with this technology, et cetera. To me, the number one community, though, that we can point to that I think helps us with public acceptance is the public safety community. And once again, we're hosting meetings. We always welcome with open arms the public safety community at this venue and others at AUVSI. They're probably adopting this technology faster than any other community. And I think that's extremely valuable to know and for us to support. And in unfortunate circumstances, when people need aid, in many instances, they're seeing that aid is coming to them or being assisted by our technology, and that, I think, is extremely valuable for us going forward. All right, we're ready to move on. Now we got to talk about the challenges, right? No technology makes it into the marketplace without some unintended consequences, without some challenges. And that, too, is the reason why we gather together. Probably the most important thing that we do is we undertake to collaborate with one another and collaborate with our regulators to figure out how do we address these challenges when we take a step back. We know, for example, that there have been challenges around airports. And this afternoon, my good friend Kevin Burke is here from the Airports Council International. We're going to be announcing a new Blue Ribbon Working Group, as we're calling it, or work group. It's very exciting to basically pull together a lot of former government officials. Michael Huerta is here, our former FAA administrator. He's going to co-chair this panel along with some other very distinguished people from the airport community. We're going to be in a supporting role as an industry to help them figure out how do we address some of the challenges immediately that they're working on. So that's just one example of the many things that are going to be going on where we're taking this technology and we're figuring out what are the unintended consequences and how do we develop a holistic system, much like that we've got with the internet today. There were unintended consequences from the internet. We now have antivirus software. We protect our networks, et cetera. FAA Deputy Administrator Carl Burleson will be here tomorrow. Obviously very important on the air side to talk about what's happening in the regulatory arena. Once again, we have to work collaboratively with them, and Carl has brought most of his team with him that's focused on unmanned systems. So the long and the short, it's going to be a fantastic couple of days. I'm really excited. When I unveiled the XPONENTIAL brand in 2015, I promised each of you, and brands are just promises, that we would bring you more value each show. In some instances, you've told us that you really love some of the things that we're doing. This afternoon, Women in Diversity, which has been a big hit here and something that we certainly support in our community, that's going to be meeting again. Last year, we unveiled the Excellence Award. That's our way of celebrating the good work that's being done in our community. And that's back this year, and on Thursday we're going to celebrate those that have won in the humanitarian category. So that's very exciting. We've also brought you some new features at this particular event. We've got the Drone Tech User Track, which is basically oriented, much like our top program, it's oriented toward giving the drone pilots among us more information, whether they're beginners, they're intermediate, or they're advanced levels. So that's going to be going on at this show. I'm very excited about that. I mentioned the low-speed ground demo that's going on. It's going on right on the show floor. You can participate in it. You can watch it going on while you're having lunch, et cetera. So that's extremely important. And the number one thing you always tell us that you get and benefit most from at these events is networking. So we've doubled down on our networking event. The new event that we're putting on right on the show floor so everyone can participate is called the MAX. That's on Wednesday. We've got Take 5, et cetera. So we've basically listened to you. We've tried to create opportunities for you to find the partners that you need, to find the customers that you're looking for, et cetera. And more and more, I think we're being successful with that. So actually, let me pause there and ask for you to give my staff a really good, big round of applause, because they've been working really hard to get this ready for you. Thank you. So excellent keynotes for you this morning. I have the privilege of introducing the first keynote. He's Dan Lyons, and Dan and I have been in this very rich conversation over the last couple of days. I've read some of his books. Dan is, I think, first and foremost a journalist based on all the questions that he asks. I can feel that. He's an author. He's a screenwriter. He's also a humorist. He's been a producer and a writer on the HBO hit comedy series Silicon Valley. What I know about Dan is he's got a tremendous curiosity and excitement about this particular technology. So please help me in welcoming to the stage Dan Lyons.